Well, hello and good evening, participants. I hope you all can hear me properly. You all can see me properly. If you all are seeing me properly, if you all can see me properly and hear me properly, I request you all to put a message in the chat box so that I can straight away start with the session. So with that, students, I'd like to tell you that I welcome you all on the behalf of THiNC Institute of Design in this amazing session in which we'll be discussing JEE B.Arch mathematic questions. So technically, this is a series of three sessions, three live YouTube live sessions during which I'll be taking you through a lot of questions, a lot of previous year's questions. And of course, with the help of those questions, we'll be revising the basics which are asked in this examination. So I hope you all are aware of what all is asked in the examination. You all are very well prepared. And in this series, if you want to stay tuned, just like, share, and subscribe our channel so that you stay up to date with all the updates we are sharing for this examination, JEE B.Arch. And of course, in this mathematics session, without further ado, I'll start discussing few questions. And of course, along with those questions, we'll revise the basics. And with those basics, we'll learn a lot of things in this sessions, followed by, of course, two more sessions in which we'll be going through a lot of things. We'll be learning a lot of things. And I'd like to tell you the flow of this lecture. I hope you all are there. You all can hear me properly, listen to this session properly. You all can see the screen which I've shared very properly. I hope everything is running smoothly and we can straight away continue with the session. So if you look at the first question for the day, the flow is very simple, students. I would ask you to look at the question, understand it, read it, and then of course, we shall be discussing its solution together. If you want to understand the question, I will definitely help you. The question says there is a set S. Technically, what does this set S say? That X comma Y. So basically Cartesian of R cross R. So real numbers. So all the real numbers. And if X and Y is there, Cartesian of R is R, which means I hope you realize that means they're talking about X axis and Y axis, which means coordinate geometry. Now, apart from coordinate geometry, if you look more closely, what also you are given is X is greater than equal to 0, Y is greater than equal to 0. Now, in the x-axis and y-axis, if somebody says X is greater than equal to 0 and Y is also greater than equal to 0, it clearly implies that they are talking about the first quadrant. So far, all I can clearly assess is that with this information, there is going to be some, graph kind of a structure, and they're talking about the first quadrant only. So they are restricting you in the first quadrant only. Now, when you proceed further, what do you notice is another equation, or I'll say another inequation. With that, I can clearly deduce that this is going to be a parabola. I hope most of you are very much aware of that. Along with that, if you pay attention to another inequation given to you, this will also represent a parabolic curve. Out of it, either inside it or outside it, something needs to be traced. That I'll definitely tell you later. But apart from that, there is one more inequation given to you. What is that inequation? Only if I start maths part, how much can I score? Niranjan, trust me, that's the most interesting question you have asked today. For B.Arch, please listen to this very carefully, all the participants. For JEE mains, mathematics plays a very crucial role when it comes to pursuing B.Tech. But when it comes to B.Arch, JEE mains, mathematics has a very low cutoff. Mathematics sections I'm talking about. Please understand, all the B.Arch aspirants are good at drawing, design, and all that part. But yes, the cutoff for mathematics gets decreased because their focus is basically on AAT, architectural awareness, and design drawing part. So trust me, and mark my words, remember it, even if you are attempting 3 to 6 questions with 100% accuracy, trust me, you can clear the cutoff very easily. And your chances of scoring anything above 90 percentile is very high. So my first advice, Niranjan, to you would be simple. Look at all the questions, focus on selecting the questions, and target the easiest ones. Imagine you have a lot of time to attempt somewhere around 6 to 7 questions. And trust me, out of those 6 to 7 questions, you need to focus on 5. This is the bare minimum requirement. I hope you're understanding. If you, at least attempt 3 to 5 questions with 100% accuracy, you at least are clearing cutoff and scoring somewhere around 90 percentile. And of course, the more you attempt, the more you score, the chances of you getting a better percentile are higher. So I hope I have answered your query. Let's get back to our discussion. What we all were having is that There is one more inequation given to us, that is 3y plus under root x is less than equal to 5 root 8. Now, what does it mean? It means there is a straight line. Now, straight line and there is an inequality. So this is not an equation, this is an inequality. So above it or below it, because there is no equal sign. So had there been an equal sign, I would have said it is denoting all the points lying on the line. But what it is saying is, I hope I'm very clearly audible and visible to all the participants and the session is running quite smoothly. What it is trying to tell you all is that either this, session is, the region is above the line or below the line, that we can figure out quite easily. Now, here comes the most interesting part. How do you draw it? How do you work it out on graphs? So I'll just show it to you. How is it plotted on a graph? And I'll take you through a lot of details. This is one of the easiest chapters, students. Trust me, you need to know the basics of coordinate geometry. And once you are very well versed with the coordinate geometry, you can actually crack questions based on it with simple integration. Trust me, with simple integration. Okay, Niranjan is asking another question. If I choose B for all options in 7 and 8 are correct. Niranjan, you're taking it to a different direction. That strategy video we'll discuss later. That how can you guess options, that we'll discuss later in some other video. Let's focus on this right now. I'll begin with this part. So here you have y square less than equal to 4x. So you have y square less than equal to C. So a parabola y square is equal to 4x goes like this. I hope you know y square is equal to 4ax is a standard parabola where a comma 0 is its focus. So its vertex is 0 comma 0. So here a is treated as 1. So which means this is how it will look like. But since we are restricted in the first quadrant only, I'll keep it to the first quadrant only. So this is how y square is equal to 4ax or 4x will be drawn in the first quadrant. Now let's talk about the next shape, which is y square less. Acha, there is one more thing, students. It is not saying y square is equal to 4x. It is saying y square less than 4x. So all you need to do is, see, had it been y square greater than 4x, I would have said all the region outside the parabola. But when it says y square is less than equal to 4x, then it is trying to tell you that the entire region which is lying inside the parabola. Of course, it is restricting you one more thing, that you should stay in the first quadrant only. So this is the region specifically we could, figure out so far. Now, when you proceed further, there is another curve, which is y square is less than equal to 12 minus 2x. Again, it is going to be a parabola, but if you look at it, it is having minus 2x. And if it is having minus 2x, it means it will have this kind of opening on the negative y-axis, towards negative y-axis. Along with that, it has plus 12 in it, which means had it been y square is equal to minus 2x, it would have been like this. But since it is y square is equal to 12 minus 2x, it will be shifted 12 units on the positive x-axis in the right-hand direction. So I hope you know these basics. So when you apply that logic, basically another parabola gets drawn and it goes like this. So far what I can clearly deduce is one of the parabola will look like this. One of the parabolas will look like this, and the other parabola will look like this. Now, with that, when I continue further, what do I see? This is the region we are talking about now. But there is another tricky part. The tricky part is there is another equation, a straight line we are dealing with. Now, when you draw that straight line, I hope it's very easy for us to draw a straight line. How? You put x is equal to 0 once, you get y coordinate. You put y is equal to 0 once, and you get x coordinate. And with the help of those coordinates, you can join those 2 points and create that straight line very easily. So you have these 3 things in front of you. You have the straight line drawn in front of you. Below the straight line, that the region below the straight line needs to be picked up because there is a less than equal to sign. You can check it with the help of 0 comma 0. So if 0 comma 0 is satisfying your region, which means this region is being talked about, this region is not being talked about. So this is how, first of all, you filter that what all needs to be picked up. So below this, and below this. So common to all is this part. So first of all, while questions, when you are dealing with the questions based on area under the curve, you all need to understand is that you're identifying the region. The region is the most crucial part here, students. Now, when you proceed further, if you could deduce, first of all, the area below this curve, which is y square is equals to 4x. And when you stop it here, I hope, how do you find the point of intersection? You can solve any curve. Y square is equals to 4x, and you solve this by treating it as a quadratic. You can very easily crack that x coordinate is going to be 2 and y coordinate is going to be 2 root 2. So that is how you can actually find out the point of intersection of these 3 curves. And all these things, all these 3 curves luckily or coincidentally, are intersecting at one single common point. Now, apart from that, this part we have covered out as an area under the curve x y square is equals to 4x. So if it is y square is equals to 4x, below it in the first quadrant, I'll treat it as y is equal to 2 times root x. It will not be plus minus root x because it is in the first quadrant. I'll take it as plus root x only. So that's your first curve. Now, there comes more interesting part. You need not even apply, definite integration or area under the curve concept, because if you pay attention to this part closely, do you not think this is nothing but a right angled triangle? And for a right angled triangle, the area is nothing, half base into height. So from 2 to 5, the base is going to be of 3 units. So that's 3. And the height we all have covered so far, that this point, this distance is going to be its height, which is having length 2 root 2. So you know the base, you have the height. Half base into height will give you the area of the triangle. So two things we have figured out quite easily, students: the area under the curve, this part, and then area of this triangle. And when you add both of them, you get the final area, which is what you are asked. I hope you know how to integrate it. So once it is integrated, your answer is received as, the final area is received as alpha times root 2, and alpha is basically being asked. So the final calculation, I hope you are comfortable with integration part. So x to the power 1 by 2 needs to be integrated. This part, I hope you all know how to do that. When this part is integrated, you are left with 17 times root 2 divided by 3. They were asking you if the answer is a times root 2, then what is the value of a? So a, I hope, is nothing but 17 by 3. Option B needs to be marked. Okay. Okay, so Niranjan is saying, sir, why ask this? I'm preparing maths and so all lectures for hours, but I cannot solve. That's why. Niranjan, trust me. First of all, yes, it is fine that some of the questions or a lot of questions, because of the pressure or time pressure, you are not able to solve in the real examination hall or during the mocks. But trust me, if you have really prepared, there are certain topics. There are actually a lot of topics which can be cracked quite easily. For example, if you look at quadratic equations, if you look at logarithm, if you look at, trust me, complex numbers is one of the easiest chapters, but if you think that it is tough, you can skip it. Coordinate geometry, what all is covered in coordinate geometry, the easier topics I'm talking about: straight lines, pair of straight lines, circle. Even when you look at more algebra, you can say sometimes, vectors in 3D is very easy, and a lot of weightage is covered by vectors in 3D, matrices and determinants. The highest number of questions in your JEE Mains B.Arch paper 2 are asked from matrices and determinants and vectors in 3D. A lot of questions are going to be asked from these 4 chapters. Trust me, if you have even covered the basics of these chapters, you would be able to solve some questions from these chapters as well. So a lot of chapters are there which can, look at trigo, how easy trigo is. So there are a lot of chapters, first of all, Niranjan, which you need to identify, which are really simple. And if you target those chapters, you can crack a lot of questions. And once you have cracked at least 4 to 5 questions, you would get a good score. I hope you all have understood this part very clearly. And along with that, I am assuming that you all are aware of this part, that THiNC Institute of Design has launched a crash course, a crash batch. You can join our NATA entrance coaching 2015, and its pre-booking has already started. For further, updates or information regarding this course, you can click on the link. Link is given in the chat box as well. It is pinned as well. You can, contact us on this given website as well, thinkdes.com. So I hope we can straight away move towards the next question for the day. And so far, all what we have discussed is very well understood by all the participants. There comes another interesting question. And yes, Niranjan, trust me, this is also one of those topics which is very easy. If you look at questions based on limits, how simple they are if you know the basics. So yes, focus on the chapter limits as well. That is something really easy. Yes. Some lectures are very basic and some are for JEE, which are complex. So yes, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying, Niranjan. Remember that. That's brilliant. I'm glad that you understood it. Now, let's focus on the next question for the day, students. What does it say? It says, if k belongs to all the real numbers, limit sine of sine kx, that's your first part of this question, cos x plus x raised to the power 2 divided by x is equal to e to the power x. Then what is the value of k? A brilliant question. How do we approach it? That's more interesting. First of all, you need to understand x is approached from the positive side of 0. That means the right hand limit is being taken. You need not bother about the left hand limit. That's another very important part. Now, how do we solve that? I hope the question is very well understood by all of you. Now, this is that category of questions which is easy, which is simple and which is not lengthy. Trust me, this is not lengthy. This is a short question. You can crack it easily, quickly. That's more important. So in the real examination hall, you will be, presented with a lot of questions, with a different category of questions. What you need to identify is the easier ones, the shorter ones. Some questions might look easy, but they may not be. They may be actually hard. Some questions will look easy, but they may be lengthy. First of all, try to go or attempt the questions which are easy and short, and that you can identify by looking at them, by understanding the language, by building the algorithm in your brain that what all is needed to be done. And by your intuition, you can actually understand that what category of question you are given. Now, this is a question which is again a very simple question. If you know the basics, one can very easily crack this category of question. So here we are. I'm explaining it directly through this. Please pay attention. First of all, students, do you know, let's say if you're solving your question based on fx raised to the power gx, where you are given that x approaches 0, this is limit x approaches 0. And what you know is, let's say when x approaches 0, f of x, approaches, let's say 1. And when x approaches 0, let's say, g of x approaches infinity. So I hope you all are realizing that when you look at this scenario, f of x raised to the power g of x, when x approaches 0, approaches 1 to the power infinity. So this is a standard form which has a standard method. And what is that standard method? That standard method is what I'll be discussing in this question. Please understand, this standard method is asked every year by JEE in their examinations. So always beware of it. They are very much in love with this particular standard method, fx to the power gx. Standard solution is there. You need not bother much. The standard solution is this, that you put e raised to, I'm writing you, giving the standard shortcut, the short technique to attempt this category of question. It goes like this: e raised to the power limit x approaches 0 or a, whatever it is. For example, here I'm given 0, and fx minus 1. So it goes like f of x minus 1 whole multiplied by g of x. So that's your solution to the question. To which question, students? To the question which says that what will be the answer to the question where x was approaching 0 and f of x was raised to the power g of x. Now, first of all, to solve this question in this manner, you need to ensure that it is a 1 to the power infinity form. Then only you'll be able to do it. Great. Now, how do we do that? See, first of all, this is your f of x, the base. So I need to subtract 1 from it. So it will look like this. And what is the power? 2 to the power x. So that gets multiplied to fx minus 1. So that's what you have received so far. Now, how do we solve that? That's more interesting. So what I'm doing is I'm passing this 2 by x inside. So first of all, sine kx upon x. That's your first part. So what you have is sine of kx divided by x, right? Along with that, what we have is cos x divided by x. Then what else do we have is, we have, see, what I do is I take these two together, cos x and minus 1. So when I take these two together, what I do is I put a negative sign here and I'll write it like this: 1 minus cos x. I hope you're getting it very clearly. Whole divided by x, because this 2 I am keeping outside, but this x I'm pushing inside. So I'm keeping this 2 outside, but x is being pushed inside. And this x upon x will give you 1. So you'll be left with plus 1 as well. So that is what I have received so far. I hope you're comfortable with that. What I do next is, I hope you know, limit, x approaches 0, sine x upon x is 1. So that, I hope, standard result is you all are aware of. So if you try and apply that standard result, how does it get applied? See, sine does not have an x here. Sine has sine kx here as an input. So I'll divide it by sine kx. But when you do so, you need to multiply it by sine kx. So this whole expression I'm multiplying by sine kx. But of course, when you have done that, sine kx should also have a kx here. So when you have done this kx here, I hope you all are comfortably able to understand what I'm doing here. When you're doing this kx here, you should multiply a kx here as well. So this x gets cancelled by this x. So finally, what you'll be getting is this whole expression. So after all the nullification, cancellation, this is what you'll be left with. 1 is already there. I hope you can see the 1 here. Now, what to do with this part? 1 minus cos x upon x. Sorry. So I'll multiply an x here and another x here. Why am I doing it? Again, you will receive very soon. So I'll begin with this part, students. I'll begin with this part where I'm going to explain the last step of this question. Please understand, please pay attention. See, this is going to be 1. I hope you all agree with that. This is also going to be 1 because x is approaching 0, and you're left with k here. So that's your k. Plus 1 is already there, so that's your 1. Along with that, what do I have is 1 minus cos x upon x square is clearly 1, because 1 minus cos x is going to be 2 sine square x by 2 divided by x square. I hope you all are realizing it very clearly. And x square here can be written as, I hope you all are understanding, this again will approach 1. So this can be, or even whatever it approaches to, it will be something significant, something, some number, any real number. And that real number when multiplied with 0 will give you 0. So finally, what I am going to be left with is these certain things, k from here and 1 from here, because this will be 0. Because 0 into anything, any real positive number will give you 0. So k plus 1 is equal to, see, this whole was actually e to the power something, which is equal to given as e to the power 6. So I hope you all can realize the base are same on both these sides. So if the bases are same, powers can be compared. So this power which I have received as k plus 1 should be equal to 6. Now, why have they written it as 3? Because 6 when divided by 2 gives you 3. So if k plus 1 is 3, k will be 2, and that's your answer. This is how easy these questions are. Trust me, students. If you are comfortable with them, you can easily crack this category of questions. I hope without any confusion, we can proceed further and look at the next question for the day. That's a very interesting question, and I'll try and make you understand that how simple these concepts are from the chapter 3D and vectors. This is a question from three-dimensional geometry. Let's have a look at this question, students. What does it say? A straight line drawn from the point 1, 3, 2, parallel to the line x minus 2 by 1, y minus 4 by 2, z minus 6 by 1. Now, you need to, first of all, imagine what are you all told. So there is a line, this line, right? And there is another line which is passing through 1, 3, 2, and it is parallel to this line. So I hope you know when lines are parallel, their direction ratios are same. I hope you know that. So first of all, I'll use that information. Then what I am told next, it intersects a plane at a point Q. So there is this line and it is intersecting a certain plane at a certain point. Let's say that point is Q. We can very easily find this point Q. I'll tell you how, but before that, let's go through the whole question first. Then what happens next is another straight line which passes through Q. Now there is another straight line. There was a point Q. What was that point Q? That was the point of, point of intersection of this line which was passing through P and this plane. Now from that point Q, another straight line passes and it is perpendicular to the plane L1. So if there is a plane, I hope you know, by looking at the coefficients of x, y, and z, I can say that that will be the direction ratios of the perpendicular or normal of the plane. So if the plane is x minus y plus 3z is equal to 6, the coefficients of x, y, and z are 1, minus 1, and 3. So 1, minus 1, and 3 are going to be the direction cosines of the normal to the plane. So if this is how the plane looks like, the normal to the plane will look like somewhat like this. Now, what am I told next? That line, which is perpendicular to this plane, also passes through Q, is intersecting another plane L2 at point R. Now, we are asked certain things about that, what all is there given in the option, but let's focus on the question first of all. I hope you all have understood the question pretty well. Now, I'll try and make you understand the question through its solution. So let's have a look at that. I hope the question is very well understood by all the participants. We can focus on its solution now. First of all, you need to understand if you are given a line which is passing through 1, 3, 2, its equation will be x minus 1, y minus 3, and z minus 2 upon. It was parallel to this line which had direction cosines as 1, 2, and 1. So x minus 1 upon 1, y minus 3 upon 2, and z minus 2 upon 1. If I put this is equal to some constant, let's say lambda. So x will be lambda plus 1, y will be 2 lambda plus 3, and z will be lambda plus 2. So this is a random point lying on the line which is passing through P and parallel to this line. I hope this part is also very well understood by all of you. Now, I am told that this line intersects the plane L1. So if this line intersects the plane L1, then the coordinate of this line, the random point on this line, must satisfy the equation of the plane. So lambda plus 1 I'll put here in place of x, 2 lambda plus 3 I'll put here in place of y, and lambda plus 2 I'll put here in place of z. So when you put it all there, you finally find the value of lambda as 1. And when you finally found the when you have finally found the value of lambda, what you now can do is lambda, which is 1, can be pushed here. So 1 plus 1 will be 2. This is 5 and this is 3. So you could find the coordinates of Q. That is what I was talking about. So you have Q now, right? So the line intersected the plane at Q. So that's your Q now, and Q has the coordinates 2, 5, 3. I hope you are clear with this. Now, another straight line which passes through Q. Now there is another straight line which is passing through Q. So that's your Q. And that straight line is perpendicular to plane L1. So this straight line is perpendicular to the plane L1. So it will have, the direction cosine same as the normal to the plane. Now, what does it say next? This straight line intersects another plane. So let's say this straight line is intersecting another plane at point R. So I need to find the point R now. I hope the same process needs to be followed. So when you apply the same process, see, the equation of the line is going to be x minus 2, y minus 5, z minus 3 upon 1 minus 1 and 3 from here. So 1 minus 1 and 3 from here. I hope you all have understood it very clearly. Now, what I do next is very simple. These are the points in terms of t, lambda, mu, whatever you want to call it. And this point is lying on the plane L2. So that's here, plane L2, which should be satisfied here. And when it is satisfied, the value of t is found as -1. And when you find the value of t, you can put this t here and you can find the coordinates of R. Now, once you have R, Q, and P, you have P here, you have Q here, and you have R here. So I hope it's very simple for you to find correct option, because you can find the distance PQ by using the distance formula. You can clearly say the coordinates of R 160. It is not 163. Centroid of the triangle, I hope you know, if there is a triangle, the coordinates are x1, y1, x2, y2, x3, y3. Then its centroid is given by x1 plus x2 plus x3 divided by 3, y1 plus y2 plus y3 divided by 3. That's how you write the centroid of any triangle. So that can be worked out. And finally, the perimeter. For finding the parameter, you need to find PQ, QR, and PR. Once you've found the distance, add them up. You can find the perimeter as well. So question is very simple. All you need to find out is the distances the points P, Q, and R. And once you've found the points P, Q, and R, you can find the distances and figure out everything. I hope you all are aware of this, that THiNC Institute of Design has launched its NATA crash course batch for 2015 aspirants. You can join us by clicking on the link given in the chat box. It is there. I think all the information will be provided to you there. All you need to do is like, share, and subscribe our channel. You will keep getting the updates. This is the first JEE B.Arch mathematics, session, live session for you. And this is followed by, this will have 2 more lectures coming up. And to stay up to date with that, you can subscribe to our channel. I think pre-booking has already started for our NATA course, and I urge you all to go through it once. Just check it out. Check what all is, provided to you, what all is there. For example, Niranjan has posted a query that is still not able to, optimize his score well, despite knowing a lot of concepts. So all that structuring and consolidation is required. For that, you can join us. You can understand it in more detail. And I think that's sufficient for the day. So with that, we are calling it a day here, students. Thank you so much. You have been a great audience. Thank you so much, students. Let's meet in the next video.